Welcome to the Slow Ready Podcast, a casual drive into the music and culture of Goose. I'm Mike.
And I'm Alex.
And I'm Garrett.
This week we are back with another new episode where we're going to do a brief Gorge recap with our good buddy Garrett, as he just so announced, who was live on the ground in Washington along with Alex, and also briefly get into some favorite moments of ours from 2025. As per usual, the best way to keep up with us and all things Goose is on our socials at Slow Ready Pod. Everywhere you can imagine, that's where we're at. And if you'd like to give us some thoughts or episode ideas or just feedback or something awesome in the Goose world that you saw, please email us at slowreadypod@gmail.com. Love to hear from you. And we can't wait to get into our main topic, but first we'd like to get into the news and notes from this week with Goose in our first segment, Hot Tea. And so, kind of light on the news and notes. We had a bunch of it there for a while. So the main thing that happened is Goose played a free back-to-school concert for the University of Iowa. It's now up on Live Music Archive. We still don't have it on Nugs, but the tape quality there is outstanding if you guys have gotten a chance to listen to it. But Alex, you want to take us through that set, and then maybe we can discuss any highlights we had?
Yeah, it was one long set and an encore. So open with Pancakes, then got an All I Need into Blood Buzz, Ohio, Hot Love and the Lazy Poet, Royal, Hot Tea, Creatures, Slow Ready, and Arcadia to close out the set, and then an encore of Shamalama Ding Dong. Really great tape quality, like you said. Thank a taper. Also, shout out to Corey from WTED for going live on Mixlr that night and it being streamed on the WTED app as well. So that was fantastic. But yeah, y'all have a chance to listen to this?
No, I was busy getting into to Gorge mode on Thursday night, so I missed out on the show. But the buzz around town is Creatures is the must listen from the show.
Yes, yeah. Absolutely. Mike, I want to hear what you have to think first.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is pretty much the main highlight for most people that are going to listen to this show. I mean, it was a really cool show, and all the video clips I've seen, it's really neat to see them in that environment, just on an athletic field with people just chilling, having pizza and lawn chairs and whatnot. But the Creatures is definitely the main improv highlight. I think maybe just because of the limited nature of this show, it's maybe getting a little bit more hype than it'll get by end of year playlist time. Because to me, it's kind of a straightforward, slow build jam that, not to discount that. I love those kind of jams, but we've been seeing a lot of great examples from Goose this year, specifically with that style of jamming. So I really enjoyed it, but I think saying it's going to fall in my top 20 or something is probably stretching it. I think there's some prisoner of the moment reactions right now.
I can agree with that. Although it is a really cool launching point they took into that Creatures jam, I will say. It's unique for Creatures. We haven't heard something like that in as far back as I can remember, at least with the Creatures. But yeah, very similar to a lot of these late 2024 into the 2025 stratosphere, build slow, layer on layer type of jams. And by the end, it was completely nuclear, almost Take Me to Church mixed with shreddy Rick vibes that was going to burn down the plaza kind of thing. But yeah, it was a free show, and like you said, it was almost a throwback to some of those old videos you see of Goose playing in a park with kids dancing around. It was kind of cool to see the videos and stuff, and they don't take a night off, so applaud Goose for this one.
Yeah, and getting Shama in the encore is always a cool deal too. So
yeah, absolutely.
But anyways, that was a pretty straightforward show. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of our show here with our flow down, which is going to be all about the Gorge. And so you two were there. I was not. So talk about the setting a little bit, set the stage for how the weekends were, how the vibes were, the crowd, all of that stuff.
Garrett, go ahead, man.
So this was my fifth Dave Matthews Band Gorge weekend. I went in 2015, 2016, and then when I moved to Seattle, 23, 24, and 25. And there's always been really good openers. I've seen Lake Street Dive there and Trombone Shorty and Corey Wong and stuff. But there was just a lot of excitement this year with Bela Fleck and the Flecktones, longtime collaborator of DMB, who hasn't played with them since 2006. And then you had Goose, who we got a little taste of it at Soulshine, but this was they finally got a full opening set at DMB's, one of DMB's most famous venues. The first two nights of the Gorge were absolutely incredible. Some of the best Dave Matthews Band shows that I've ever seen. With night two being a special standout. With Before These Crowded Streets played front to back, so vibes were really high going into Sunday. People were really pumped on what Dave Matthews Band was doing, and then you get to Sunday, and then you're walking like in the parking lot, and there's just Goose gear everywhere. I've never seen this much of an opener's gear being or merch being worn by people, running into people that we've seen at shows in other places. I was with Jess from the Femflock and our friend Bill and Nicole and Rick and a whole bunch of Goose crew, and just kept running into like people from our Goose community, and a lot of people had like Goose stickers to hand out, not even like the DMB stuff. So it was really cool. Like it was a really cool merging of the fan bases, and the overlapping there.
That's perfectly said. I was really surprised even on night one and night two how much Goose stuff was being worn just on those nights for Goose not even playing those nights. And it seemed like there was a good chunk of the crowd that like once Goose pulled the trigger on being the opener, they decided to go to the Gorge and check out this whole Dave Matthews Labor Day weekend thing. I will say I walked into the venue with like 500 or 600 stickers, and I left with handing the last few out to Garrett and crew when I saw them on night three. So it was a lot of Goose fans there, and a lot of hype around it. It was great. And you're underselling the Dave shows, man. That was like some vintage stuff. Having with Mike and I being old Dave Matthews fans, it felt like you were going back to 1999 or something. Especially with that Before These Crowded Streets set, like you said, like literally they've never played an album front to back like that before, and they do it with their best album. Just insane.
Well, even the night one show, you have only songs that were debuted in 2006 and earlier. So you had like an old school DMB set. So people were really pumped about that. And then yeah, Before These Crowded Streets, just you have You Never Know, It Could Happen. No reason to get excited before then, and then like everyone thought the highlight of the show was gonna be something with the Flecktones that night. They bring the Flecktones out like five songs in, and you're like, okay, like this is good. And then Rapunzel starts, and you're like, okay, cool spot for it. And then I saw the 12 string come out for the last stop 12 string, and I'm like, no, they can't do this. And I turned to the people I was around, like Before These Crowded Streets in full, texted like some friends I had, and they're like, nah, not happening. You've been saying this for years. They're gonna do it. Last stop comes, then the drop D comes out, and then all of a sudden we have this their best album in my opinion, just front to back, and then they closed out the set. They didn't like put any new stuff in the fourth quarter either. Just like closed it out with some classics. It was I don't I might have to quit DMB. Like I don't know if that show will ever be topped.
Yeah, we were joking about it on site, but I think it's time to retire DMB after that because it's never gonna get better. But anyway, the Goose guys were on the lawn night two, vibing at that. Imagine like that's probably like some of their first full shows, right? In the band. Like I know Rick has gone in the past. I'm not sure if Peter has. Um,
Yeah, the first concert Rick ever attended, I believe he's gone on record saying was 12/16/03 Dave and Friends.
yep.
And then when the pandemic struck, I was lucky enough to get a guitar lesson with Rick, and and like one of the things we talked about was DMB and how he used to go with his sister to Hartford and see shows, and then for him to play Soulshine and then get to play with Dave at the Kennedy Centers, and now to open and like yeah, it's got to be cool for him to one. It was a lot of the band and crew's first time ever even seeing the Gorge, so they got to see it and play it in the same weekend, which
So cool.
yeah.
So cool. But yeah, it was really a lot more about Goose in terms of the community there than I expected, even with all the hype around it being a DMB event, which was really exciting. Mike, you would have loved it.
Yeah. The other thing to mention is like for Gorge, night three, usually like there's a thinner crowd. A lot of people do like the Friday or the Saturday, and then they get out with flights and to get out of there. And then also a lot of people don't come in for the openers. So the opener, it's usually pretty sparse. But it was packed on Sunday. It was very packed by the time Goose got on. There was a lot of hype there.
Yeah, it looked very full. I was down in the seats and I was looking up at the lawn to see how full it was, and I couldn't see any open space from my angle. I couldn't see the very tip top or anything, but it looked like it was packed, like ready for the first DMB part of the set to start or something.
I definitely would have loved to have been a part of this. I mean, it's really cool to see our favorite band take the stage of our old favorite band. And I won't comment too much on the DMB stuff, but the concerts that you lucky ducks got this weekend is like one of the main reasons I'm haven't been to a show for Dave in a while, is because it's never like it was this weekend. But
Exactly. Yep.
I'm getting the variety in the Goose scene, so it's all good. And with that in mind, what are your guys' thoughts here on the Goose set list? It's a little bit short, maybe lacking in jams, but how do you feel about the boys set here?
Well, let me read it off first real quick, just so we have it for
Yeah.
the folks who don't know. Open with Drive, went into Thatch, A Western Sun on the West Coast, perfect. Then Hunger Sight, Give It Time, Jedstone, Hot Tea, and Arcadia to close out the set, with Jeff Coffin and Rashawn Ross from the Dave Matthews Band hopping on. Yeah. So Garrett, what'd you think about this set? 8 songs seemed like a lot for an hour.
Yeah, it was about what I thought they were going to do. I did not think we were going to get any Jam of the Year material in there. This was a set to showcase to Dave Matthews Band fans who are used to 3-4 minute songs or with the occasional 15-20 minute jam, to get them to understand what Goose is and to like Goose and want to see it. So I figured we'd get upbeat songs. There were a few songs that like were givens, like my fantasy Goose, like I Hunger Sight was an easy 8-pointer. Give It Time makes sense, and it also made sense at the show. If you listen to the crowd pop during those songs, it was huge. They were the ones that people that aren't truly familiar with the Goose catalog were excited about when they started. Jed Stone was a surprise. Wouldn't have expected that, but I turned to my friend during it and was like, "This kind of sounds like the Maker. It's Maker vibes here." And ironic with what happened later in the in the show, but
Yeah.
I was also reading on like Ants Marching and Discord in some places, like Jed Stone was one that people actually like really enjoyed. So yeah, they did it. I assumed Hot Tea was coming, which is interesting because Hot Tea was not on the written set list. It was actually Arrow. So Hot Tea was an audible. But Hot Tea was the right song to play for that crowd at that time. And then, I was pretty shocked that the horns came out on Arcadia. I thought we would have gotten like an Animal, something like more upbeat. Animal, I always thought it was like DMB vibes, like Dave could have written it or sang it. But Arcadia is also arguably one of their biggest songs, so it also made sense to play that.
Yeah, and I noticed that Jeff and Rashawn were looking at like some kind of like arrangement or something, because it was very, very on point with the horns from MSG, at least during the main part of the song, and then they kind of went ham at the end. And in person, it sounded fantastic. I heard some feedback that like the mix was pretty rough for the horns being very loud. I don't know if you caught the stream mic or you caught anything after, but overall, it was like you said, Gary. You said it well. It was a showcase for DMB fans. It was not for the diehard Goose fans. I was joking with some of my friends who had never listened to Goose at all, who were at the venue, that some of these jams were shorter than like the jams on the studio cuts. Like they like you compress them even further than the studio cuts. So like it was made to squeeze in as many songs as possible. I thought they did a good job of kind of showcasing some of their best lyrical songwriting type songs for the Dave fans who like some of the deeper lyrics there too. And probably besides the Arcadia, I think that the one moment that caught my eye the most was seeing how many people knew Give It Time in the crowd, because it was very loud singing, at least from my section, which was kind of heartwarming. That's kind of caught on at the very least.
Yeah, I also want to add like A Western Sun. Like it also already has like the two-steppy vibes, like going with it. But when you add like you have A Western Sun playing with the sun setting over the mountains behind the gorge, it's like something that I know Volta lets you like choose camera angles and stuff, but I don't know if like there's no camera angle or no camera that could do justice to the weather, the feeling, the crowd, the vibes of like that moment of the sun setting during a Western Sun and Jed Stone. And it's a pretty special venue. And while it was not a Goose show, it was really cool to see Goose play the Gorge there for the first time, and got a lot of people excited for when they do have their own headlining show or weekend there to make that trek out.
You know, if you had asked me before this trip, I would have said that we were a long ways off from that, but I think they made a lot of new fans at this show, especially with the stream and with it being the Gorge. Like, I think they could at least draw for a night or two, hopefully. I mean, it's a huge venue. Don't get me wrong. It'd be a stretch like in the next year or something, but I think it could happen if they keep rising like they have been.
Yes, 100%.
Because I mean, like King Gizzard, for instance, did one night at the Gorge, just a solo night, and that performed really well. So I don't think it's out of their reach at all. But just kind of echoing what you guys said, it was watching the stream from home. I got back from dinner at like the end of Thatch probably, so I saw most of it. But having been to the Gorge in person before, like seeing them on that stage to me was like almost as momentous as seeing them at MSG, like another place that I've been for other artists. But it's just a big deal when you see your favorite band on certain stages, and this was definitely one of them. Photos and videos will never do that place justice. You just have to get out there and see it. But this set specifically, everything was really well chosen. I think Give It Time, anytime it's played at a show that I'm at, which I've seen quite a few Give It Times at this point, it always has like one of the biggest crowd pops because it just seems like it's universally loved and recognized. But I also think that this set list was like kind of curated for all the people that I know had to have been there, that had a friend that was telling them about Goose but hadn't quite taken the plunge yet. People that were maybe like less familiar. And I thought it was kind of chef's kiss, taking the bouncy hot tea and then adding horns to Arcadia, kind of closing with that 1-2 punch. I'm in the minority on this, but I think Arcadia is my favorite Goose song with horns. So it may not be conventional wisdom, but I just absolutely love that finish there.
No pushback here on that. I mean, especially after the MSG version and this one, like they're pretty great versions.
Yeah,
I gotta agree.
Yeah, it was also really cool. Like they came out, Dave introduces them. Dave usually gives like a little speech before every band. This time it was just like the whole crowd was already saying Goose. Dave was just like, I'm not doing anything. Like you already know what's about to happen. And then just like huge Goose chant there. But then like as like the show went on, there was the Goose chant after every song, and it got louder and louder and louder. And then it was just really cool also during certain songs and certain moments. Like as a Goose fan, you know, like when the solos are, what are like the big moments in solos. So like just looking around and watching the crowd, like the DMB crowd, like starting to get more and more into it. And then the end of Arcadia, just like Rick ripped that solo. It was huge. And then just like huge pop from the crowd after Arcadia. It felt momentous.
I think that was really what they kind of covered, all the different ground you'd want them to cover to try to attract new fans, right? Like they got the songy songs in there, the deep stuff, and then like the pivot over to Hot Tea, it was really where it started, where Rick could kind of flex and show off some of the shreddy Rick stuff, and that just continued into Arcadia, and you got a little more of like the depth of like the jam side of things and how they can like maneuver with that Arcadia with the horns and the end of Hot Tea. So I think that they won a lot of people over who maybe you didn't like the beginning but you liked the end, or maybe you liked the beginning and you weren't sold on the jams and then you were just roped in. So they covered a lot of ground in the best possible way, I think.
Yeah, and while there was no jams, like the playing was perfect. And then you even got like in the Hunger Site, the big solo in there. It was a little bit extended from normal versions. We knew we weren't going to get a huge jam out of it, but like Rick just decided to go all in and extend that middle jam a little bit more, and people were digging it. Yeah, these are all songs I've seen many times over my many shows, but like it's one of I'm at a place where like I'll take seeing songs, shorter versions, less jams to have special experiences like going to the Gorge or seeing them open for DMB at Soulshine. Like short, like where you know you're getting a shorter set, but it's going to be really cool.
It's historic stuff. They're covering a lot of historic ground lately. They did technically the first appearance at MSG Soulshine. Then they headline MSG. Then they're playing the Gorge for the first time. So it's just been a crazy 12 months here.
And then like even on top of that, you have Rick, like even beyond the band, who's being invited to Dead Ahead and play with Bob and Sturgill. Then you have Rick being invited to be part of the Music Cares honoring the Grateful Dead 60 and the Kennedy Center, where Dave and Rick got to play Sugary with Susan Tedeschi. Like Rick's having a year on top of Goose having a year.
Oh yeah. when you put it like that, like it is more mind blowing, huh? Mike, I wanted to ask you though, with the Volta stream, how was that? And like the multi-angle thing, did you get to mess with any of that stuff, or was it just the director's cut you were watching?
For us, it was just the director's cut. I'll be honest, once you got the stream up and running, it was great. I have no qualms with the visual quality or the audio quality. It's about as good as Nugs. Nugs on a good day, let me clarify, because Nugs has some days. But it was such a pain in the ass to get it set up and running on like, a newer TV that part was frustrating. And once we got it going, we were like, just don't touch it. Just Goose is playing. Just leave everything as it is. We're just going to watch the show. So I would have liked to have fiddled with that, but I didn't get a chance. I was too nervous.
Understandable.
I really like Nugs. The one thing there are two things I wish they took from Volta: a chat during the live streams and the ability to do the multicam. Like I think there's a lot of people that are dying for a Getty cam just to get that center view of the lights the whole time, which that's a really cool feature Volta has.
100%.
They're so small and still getting started. Like hiccups are understandable, but I saw a lot of really mixed reviews, but a lot of really positive feedback about the multicam in particular for people who could get it up and going. So that's exciting to hear. Hopefully we'll get to mess with that at some point if they replay it.
I hope so. And so any other thoughts on the set list here, or we want to get into this awesome guest spot?
I think we've covered everything on the set list end here.
Yeah, we've covered everything on the set. I guess the only other note I had that I didn't say was like I was surprised there was no cover in the Goose set with how much they crush covers. I thought that was a good way to rope in fans, but also like why would you need a cover when you played a set like this and just rattled off bangers?
Yeah. I don't even know what cover would have like hit the hardest here either. I did joke before with Jess about like maybe we'll get another running up that hill given the gigantic hill.
That's what I thought. Yeah. But that's what I was thinking, was running up that hill.
Yeah, and you've got a decent chunk of like middle-aged fans there already and stuff. Like that would have been like absolutely perfect. But yeah, that's an interesting point that you brought up back. So I didn't even think of that, but I think ultimately, like I'm guessing, but probably their goal was to expose people that didn't know as many original songs as they could, as much of the catalog as they could. But that's a really good point. It could have equally worked as well with like an Eminence Front or something else in there that everybody knows and can go crazy too.
I also wonder if because at Soulshine they did like 2 songs out of their 5 were covers with the Don't Do It and The Way It Is, and a lot of DMB fans had eyes on that they maybe were just like, let's go more originals this time.
Another great point.
Great point. Yeah, didn't think about that.
Yeah, 100%. What about this maker here? Because this was the guest spot that shook the world. I feel like my group chat was going crazy.
Yeah. Go ahead, Alex.
Go ahead. Yeah. No, go ahead. I was just saying, speaking of covers.
Yeah. So Friday show comes and they bust out "Lie in Our Graves" as one of like the first like 10 songs of the night, and you're like, well, shit, there goes the big guitar song. Then they play Big Eye Fishing Bartender. Bartender is a song that Rick has said that he really wants to even cover and loves to play. So you lose that. You lose Watchtower Night 2. So there's another big song. So like all these songs that you're expecting Rick to potentially sit in on are just gone and out the window. And then you get to Sunday and they go to start. There were like rumors swirling, like maybe that like, oh, Rick's gonna sit in tonight on Cortez the Killer, which Rick would have ripped. But the Maker was a really nice surprise. It fits Rick's voice. It's in that Jed Stone family of like chill, like beautiful soloing. Yeah, it was. I'm a big fan of the Maker. There's been a lot of like classic versions of the Maker over the years with guests, with like Mitch Rutman and Victor Wooten. So it's kind of cool for Rick to get to add his name to that list as well.
In preparation for this episode, you're not kidding about that, because I went through the DMB Almanac, which is like the gold standard of like tracking for fan websites, in my opinion. And the list of names on there is insanely long, and then you come across Rick on there and you're like, wow, is this like real life? But yeah, after they kind of like, for lack of a better term, they like DMB kind of like blew their load early on a lot of these songs. They went hand with all these normal guest spots. That was kind of the one song that was the last one that would have made a lot of sense for a singing and guitar guest spot besides something like Cortez
or Jimmy
Thing. I was thinking of that one too, with the Warren Haynes guest spot from Central Park. That was the other one I was thinking of. But in terms of showcasing his voice and letting him get solo a little bit, Maker made a lot of sense. I wish we got one more song so that the people who weren't there in time for Goose could see Shreddy Rick go off.
Yeah, but even like before Rick comes out, like we're like 3 songs into the DMB set, and Dave starts to go like thank the openers. He thanks Louis Cato. And then before he even says Goose's name, the entire crowd is chanting Goose. And that's where Dave starts making the like, I wish my name was Goose Matthews from the Goose Matthews band. Like there was a lot of Goose fans there that day, plus a lot of new fans who are now in the chanting Goose thing. I think we annoyed some DMB fans who are like, do they do this after every single song, really? But yeah, there was that. And then when they were about to bring Rick out, like the Goose chants start again. And then Dave was pretty funny. He was like Rick from Goose, and then was trying to pronounce my Taratanda there. He put on a little accent, and him and Rick were bantering back and forth. Got a little good Dave speak there, and yeah, then they bust into the Maker. I think Rick was a little timid during the first time he sang. Seen him play a lot. I've never seen him nervous. He definitely seemed nervous at the start and was reserved in his first like solos. I don't think his guitar was working like he wanted to with his pedals. He was on the floor a bunch at the beginning, tinkering around. But then once he got to his second solo, he started to let loose a little bit more and do what Rick does.
I agree with that. The first verse especially was like a little apprehensive to start, and then he kind of like started feeling it. I felt like and really got into it. But that ending run where like they're doing the harmonies, saying like, "Oh, River Rise," and then Rick's just kind of like adding these like sick bluesy riffs in between, and Dave at one point's like nodding so hard at Rick because he's vibing with it. Was just a really cool moment. I think I've watched that video like 6 or 7 times. Like I was on the airplane watching it on repeat over and over again, and the people behind me probably thought I was nuts, but I was trying to like really see every moment because like we were vibing from the lawn, and I was trying to get all of it on stage interactions between everybody there, because I know Rick was probably losing his mind happy for that opportunity to finally share the stage with one of his heroes.
Yeah, it's also really cool to see all the like backstage photos that are coming out now from Goose's social media. And Jeff Coffin like posted a bunch of photos that he took of Goose, and he even put in his caption, he's like, "Thanks Goose for coming out and for just kicking ass." Like, and then yeah, just lots of smiles from Rick. And I really loved also at the end where like Dave hugs him, he turns around, and then Carter stands up and like gives him the fist bump, and like what Carter usually does with Dave after Dave like crushes a song. Like that's to grow up seeing DMB live and then to be on the stage and with your like idols and playing with them and then for them to like be cheering you on. I can only imagine what Rick felt after that sit-in.
Well, it wasn't just the sit-in, because I got plenty of videos sent over of Rick for most of the shows, or most of the clips I saw was Rick standing side stage, but then towards the end of the DMB set, the whole band was out there watching and vibing to the show. So like they were having a good time out there on night 3 and enjoying the backstage view of the band kind of closing out an epic weekend. So it was just really good vibes all around.
Yeah. It was just also cool, like to see a lot of the crew like posting about their first time being out the Gorge. I think Sam King posted it was their tour manager. It was her first time out there. It was not Getty and Loomis's first time though. They did the sound and lights for Mount Joy when they opened for DMB at Gorge a few years ago. But now they're back with their own band. Yeah.
Wow, I did not know that. That's awesome. That's really cool.
That's really cool because I was at that Gorge, but I didn't know that either. Very neat.
Yeah.
I also say about the guest spot, I think that like maybe I heard this wrong, but it sounded like Dave got the last name wrong the first time. It sounded like he said Taratonda, and then someone said something to him, and he looked, and he was like, "Oh, it's Mataratonda," or something to that effect is what it sounded like to me. That was absolutely hysterical. And then I agree with what both you said about the tentativeness from Rick, but I thought that it was more so because he was on like some secondary mic. I don't think that like it was at the volume that like the lead is at. And I think, him used to being, center stage, I think it was just like a different setup. And so it seemed to me like they turned him up as it went on, but also like his confidence grew as he got more comfortable. Like this guitar's locked in, this mic's locked in. And then he hit a groove because that second solo there were some pretty nifty moves in there.
Yeah, agree. The second solo was filthy, and then the end where it was the "Oh River Rise" part, like Rick like had these fills in between, and like Dave just kept looking at him like cheesing the entire time. Like
that was so cool. That was so cool. I could not keep my eyes off that. The interplay, or like them both like exchanging looks at each other and vibing was just really really cool the whole time. You could tell they were both kind of geeking out, having man crush Sunday.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I guess my biggest wonderings are like, do these opportunities like did the band like learn something that they take away to like into their shows in the future? Like having watched full DMB shows, seeing that like how to like the way the set list was constructed, or just like getting the crowd singing along during certain songs. Like Goose doesn't have all those like a ton of big sing along songs yet. You get like the hot tea with the la da 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 part, but like DMB has a lot more of those. The warehouse woos, so wondering there, and I don't know. Goose had horns a bunch this year, and they sound really good with horns. I don't think anyone wants a full tour with horns, but like it would be cool to increase the frequency.
You know that they want more guest spots with them. Like you can tell because they have the time of their lives up there every time there's horns on stage. I mean, maybe I'm assuming, but it just seems like it's a thing they love.
Yeah, it's just a matter of how do you maintain being a jam band and being more spontaneous with also having horns. You can't bring horns on for an entire tour. You could do it like Mayer used to do, where the horns would come on for like 3 or 4 songs a night and just be like waiting in the wings for the rest. But I don't think Goose is there yet in there to be able to bring on horn players to do that on the side. But yeah, more frequency of horns would be great.
I almost wonder to that end if there's like something in the future where they're like taking on more of a format, like, like difference between Fish and Trey Anastasio band, where like there's different types of tours going on with Goose. Like that would require them to like get back to more of like the touring that they were doing like rigorously like 2019, 21, 22. And it seems like the last couple of years, Rick, everything he said in interviews has been more about like bracketing it off time so that they can maintain their sense of sanity, which I totally get and support. But I think like if they ever do have like a really busy year again, a good thought or an idea may be to like, break up a couple tours, and then this one month thing, it's like 15 shows, Goose with horns, come and check it out. Like, and it's just a different thing, an alternative to what they normally do, similar to like how a Rebelo functioned before.
Yeah.
And then maybe on a acoustic tour, like a Dave and Tim, but now that Arevalo is no longer, but acoustic, like that acoustic set at Viva El Gonzo was incredible, and it's just a really cool way to hear the songs that people love in a different setting in different ways. So
Cincinnati too.
Yep.
Well, spoiler alert: that acoustic set from Gonzo might come up later.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Is that the segue?
Well, I was going to say, do you guys have any overall thoughts for the weekend? Because I think we were kind of at that point where it's just general Gorge wrap up.
Yeah. I saw a ton of DMB in the beginning. I lived in New York. I was able to hit like 6 to 10 shows a year just within 2 hours. And then when I moved to the South, I stopped seeing DMB as much. And then as the lineup changed, I saw them less and less. So I wasn't like as high on DMB like I've been going to Goose. But the last few Gorge years have been absolutely incredible, with this one just being like, it was pretty much a perfect Gorge weekend. There was a lot of songs DMB that like have been staples that they didn't play this weekend. Louisiana Bayou, Shake Me Like a Monkey, like some of those songs. So you have these really great DMB shows. You have Before These Crowded Streets from to back. You have perfect weather. Like, it was a little hot during the day, but it, like, by doors it cooled down. You had beautiful sunsets, the Flecktones, and then you had Goose and Rick as like the cherry on top of this weekend. It's going to be really hard to beat this Gorge weekend in the future, or even any DMB show moving forward, especially after that Saturday.
That's why it's time to retire, buddy. Show 100. Good time. No, I'm just kidding. It is going to be hard to top, though. You're absolutely right about that. And
join me.
I counted it earlier. Well, I counted it off earlier, and you had kind of mentioned this before. It's literally only 7 songs were played from like the albums past that stand-up peak of their fandom 2005-ish time frame. It's like 7 songs from studio albums later than that. It's just like wild vintage stuff for them, because normally it's like 13 of the 20 songs in a show are newer, it feels like. So fantastic. And then you had Goose on top of that, like you said, and they're going to be headlining soon and having their own Gorge weekends that'll hopefully surpass Labor Day weekend and pass the torch.
They definitely will, because they don't have a Sam Cop in their catalog. Sorry, that's my cheap shot for the evening. And you guys were marked safe from it, so no complaints on the weekend.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's stop talking about songs that we hate and get into stuff we like, right?
Anyway, so our other main topic for this week, our other flow down, is going to be just some of our favorite moments from 2025 Goose. Obviously, it's been arguably the greatest year of Goose so far, so I'm sure there's a lot out there to cover. But Alex, why don't you start us off with whatever your first one is, your first pick?
Are we going top to bottom, or are we saving the suspense?
I think it's dealer's choice. I'm saving my best for the end, but whatever feels right.
All right. Well, I have a bunch of honorable mentions too. I can save those for the end too. The first one I wrote down was the Trevor reading poetry with the Spokane word into Moby Dick in Spokane, Washington. Just that Moby Dick out of the blue, and then Cotter just going absolutely electric with those crazy lights at that venue in Spokane going off in the background. Just like, what a setting. And honestly, this is kind of a theme of like my very vibes central picks here, because I'm riding the vibes in 2025.
We'll hit the jams later. It's okay.
Yeah,
Garrett, what about you? What's your first one?
I guess I'm not going to go in order. It's very tough to put these in order. It's been a pretty substantial year, but I'm going to have to go with Factory Fiction opening up Madison Square Garden. I mean, the whole MSG show could probably go on there. But to come out with one of your best songs and just blow the roof off of that place, like that was incredible.
100%.
Yeah, it was insane. That's probably my number one pick, honestly. So it's really cool, like, to hear you say that so early, because I want to see what you have coming up next.
So I
Yeah.
thought of this a little bit differently than you did, both of you, because you guys picked very specific songs, but I've got like kind of some broad moments here. But one of the biggest things to me was just the whole Everything Must Go week. I mean, we had Jazz Fest, first time ever, sitting with Pres Hall Band at midnight, Foie Gras and Crumpet show, and of course the album to digest all at the same time. And I still like look back on that week and I'm just like, how did all of that happen in the same like 6 days? But one of the best weeks I've ever had as a Goose fan, because it was just like every hour it seemed like more stuff was coming together.
Totally. And and to think that we got all of that lead up for Everything Must Go, and then the new album was coming 4 months later too, is just like adds
In
even
secret.
more context to the madness of that
Yeah.
week of release of EMG.
I could have easily just made it 2 albums from Goose in the same year. Like, I mean, like that alone is like a moment to celebrate.
Or dropping a surprise album on Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
With no
I need
press.
to put that on my list. I didn't even put that on. That's crazy to think.
What do you got
Oh,
next,
man.
Alex?
So next up, I put down the debut of Torero at El Gonzo, kind of piggybacking off of what you're talking about with EMG. We were still waiting on the debuts of Iguana Song and Dustin Hoffman in the live setting, and then Goose just randomly drops this new banger track to close out the first set of their first Gonzo show, and really set the tone for the weekend, in my opinion. And just a total surprise that shows that they're continuing to work on some crazy great songs, and even before they debut songs that we already know about. How about you, Garrett? What's next?
I did a combo of both of you, so I have some specific song moments and some longer moments. But I think next for me is the entirety of Viva El Gonzo. I've been to a lot of concerts in my life, a lot of festivals in my life. That was bar none my absolute favorite festival I've ever been to. Nobody knew what to expect. The lineup was killer, and then I was there with some of my absolute best friends in the world that I made through the Goose community. It wasn't too packed, so like you can just get up close to the stage like every single night. The weather was perfect. Mexico was just so fun. The way it was set up, it was so easy to get an Uber in and out. It was like $4 to Uber from a hotel to the venue. It was so easy to walk around. Beautiful art installations, and then to top it off, you just have like 3 killer Goose shows with you. You have the debut of a Nirvana cover with Mahali on night one. You have you have the debut of Hoffman and Iguana Song. You Ride Like the Wind, like like
Yes.
straight yacht with even the Michael McDonald part in there. And then I think my Goose highlight of the weekend would have been the Empress Fast Slow Empress from night 2. That Fast Slow came out of nowhere, and just like everyone just their state of being at the shows, it just hit really hard. And then to top off all these shows, you go to late night and Rick and Peter are just sitting in everywhere. So you're getting Boogie on Reggae Woman with Dogs in a Pile. You're getting You Can Call Me Al with with Eggy. My personal favorite sit-in was one that was not very well attended. A lot of people went over to Pigeons playing ping pong night 3 and skipped out on going to the Round Rocks, which is where the El Gonzo Collective, the band that usually plays at the hotel, was playing. And Rick just sat in, and it was like 20 minutes of improv of just Rick with like some of the filthiest guitar playing I've ever heard him do. Maya Thatch recorded the entire thing. The recording's somewhere out there on the internet, the video. And it was just really special. And then the acoustic set, they're in there too, with Sierra Hull sitting in on Don't Think Twice, It's All Right. An entire Goose crowd absolutely silent, that if someone even tried to speak, you heard everyone shushing the one person try to speak. Like it was El Gonzo was just one of the most incredible weekends of any band that I've ever had.
I'll just chime in on the acoustic thing because I had that on my list as well. It was so encouraging to see them crush that acoustic set after, the whole fall of Array Below this year, and everyone wondering like, is that going away? Like, what's going to happen there? And then we kind of got the confirmation there was going to be an acoustic set when they released a schedule, and then they just crushed that set. So that was just really encouraging, and that's why I really was very happy when I saw that set, and things were going to be okay. What's next, Mike?
Yeah, so Garrett actually hit on like two of my next ones in his first two, so I'm just going to sandwich them together here. I just had all of MS Goose, MSG. It was totally satisfying, validating, and proud to be following this band moment of the highest order. And the set list was just like this perfect blend of for the hardcore old fans and for the new fans alike, and just the flow, the jams, just all of it was just, it can't be beat. And the festival, Goose's first festival, like totally exceeding the hype for everyone that went, and also those of us who streamed it at home and built tents in the living room. Like that may have been just me, but and my house, but yeah, El Gonzo was absolutely just sick. And I'm still listening to a lot of the jams from that. That Big Modern's just outstanding. So yeah. What's next, Alex?
The order has gotten completely fucked here in the best kind of way. We just have so much overlap. So I'm gonna hit on my thoughts from MSG real quick. And really, the moment I had picked was that Factory Fiction opener. To Garrett's point, I'll just hit that real quick. Just all the emotion you could feel when those opening notes of Factory Fiction hit. It's really hard to describe, like the power of the room and Goose meeting the power of the moment, and then the floor shaking as soon as like that intro kind of was going, the main part of the intro was kind of over and going into the more like singing part of Factory Fiction, and the floor was shaking, like the whole venue was shaking. It was just insane. And it'll be hard to, if I could bottle that and capture and relive that moment whenever I wanted to, that'd be like probably a top 3 thing I'd want to do in my life. But the next thing I had was the Boise Rosewood Heart that was like 39 minutes long. And part of it was that it was just really unexpected out of that Boise show after that first set that was like an absurd amount of short songs. Like it was like almost like the Gorge set, and that first set was just like short song, back to back to back. And then they just come out the gates with like a short 3 or 4 song set. I can't remember off the top of my head. And there's just 39-minute Rosewood Heart, and it's just a barn burner and just a really cool kind of like, here's the full spectrum of what you can see at a Goose show. You can see a 40-minute song and then like 8 6-minute songs in a row. You never know what you're going to get.
Yeah, that was pretty incredible. And it was also crazy, like coming off of a beautiful Ben show with the Killer Thatch and Autumn Crossing there. You had the Spokane show with all the special stuff there, and then a Sunday show that not many people like traveled after those first 2 to get to, and then just out of nowhere, it wasn't even on the set list. I don't think they just like went into it, and then yeah. I think Rick even mentioned, he was like, yeah, I don't think we meant to do that.
That's just makes it even more epic. Like,
yeah,
I know a few people whose first show it was, and they were like, is this the same song? They're like messaging me like, this is insane, but I wanted to make sure this is the same song because I don't know that, like, if they have instrumentals or something. I was like, no, that's the same song.
yes. For me, I'm gonna, for my third one, just going backwards, is the same as Mike's first one, which was that Jazz Fest week. I used to live in New Orleans. I had to leave New Orleans for some unfortunate reasons, and I hadn't really returned. But Goose going back and the Fog Wash show, I was like, I have to go. Goose absolutely crushed their Jazz Fest set list. Really, really cool. So Ready outro into Sinnerman, and really great covers, and the field was packed. It was a perfect Jazz Fest day. And then you get to the show at night, the Fogwa and Crumpons show, where no one had any idea what to expect. I was with my friends, Matt and Danny in our section, and all day long they're like, we want to hear Helicopters. Let's see what happens. And then they open with it, and just like everyone lost their shit. They had like these insane graphics on the screen of like Goose as bowling pins with their neck growing and all this stuff, like really weird stuff. And yeah, just really good jamming during that show. Then you have Cross-Eyed, which Goose doesn't play anymore because they want to stay away from the fish comparisons. But we got the Cross-Eyed that night with Cotter doing the Cross-Eyed rap, which Goose has never done. So that show was incredible. And then the next day, like thinking it's all over, and then getting a text from a friend being like, Goose is playing Preservation Hall tonight. Get a ticket now. And being able to see Goose with 60 people and horns. You had Carl Denson in the corner. Another little DMB connection there. Carl Denson, who played with DMB at the 12/21/02 MSG show with James Brown. Now sitting in with Goose. You have him in the corner where Goose fans are going Goose, and he's like, "Why are they booing them? Oh, they're saying Goose, like Deuce, Deuce McAllister from the New Orleans Saints." So like you have this tiny little venue, and Goose just crushing the songs. Goose sitting in with David Shaw from the Revivalists, and then they're just like hanging out in the back and in the courtyard after the show, and then in comes like Win Butler from Arcade Fire, just hanging out. Like it was just one of those like perfect surreal weekends with Everything Must Go release that week. It was a really cool week.
Hell yeah. I really wish we could have made it out, Mike. I know Mike's like favorite place in the world is New Orleans, so I know that cut him to his core.
I had a streak in my day where I was at Mardi Gras 7 years in a row. Never lived there, but yeah, New Orleans is my favorite city to visit. So, but fortunately, we got lots of great audio and videos sent to us, so it made it a little bit more tolerable. Getting a hotel in New Orleans for Jazz Fest is just like the most ridiculous expensive thing.
Yeah, it is. What's next, Mike? What you got?
Yeah, so just the summer tour in general past El Gonzo, there was a lot of different shows and jams. I couldn't really break it down into anything like super specific. Like Colorado, all good. San Fran and Bend particularly stand out for me, but like the second set in Bend is like maybe perfection for my taste. But just like so much variety, pretty much every festival set was just absolutely destroyed. And we got a lot of the Goons, which was fresh and new. And it came up and popped up in a lot of songs I wasn't expecting. And it always seemed to change the tone of a set too at various points throughout the tour. So it was one of the better like 1 month sections of Goose jamming that I can remember in recent memory, where it's just like a month straight, you guys are just on fire.
And it's really interesting to be able to say that when a lot of the jams were like, quote unquote, like compact. Like it wasn't like the 25-minute bangers that we've seen in like the 2019 era and things like that. It was like 17, 18 minutes, and they just like would hit the ground running and get into these ripping ideas. And that's actually a really good segue into my next one I had, which was, we should have maybe call the first Goons the Fast Slow from Gonzo, but I'm gonna say it was the Psycho Killer jam from Colorado, in the middle of that Factory Fiction sandwich, because no one saw that coming at that point. Like it was just crazy, all out rave, and you definitely got the Disco Biscuits kind of inspiration after the collab in New Orleans, another bringing it back full circle, and then that jam in particular was like, wow, this is a really, really cool way that this band can or cool sound this band can explore a little bit more. And they hit the ground running with that and basically played it at every stop the rest of the tour after that.
Yeah. My next one actually was Fiddler's Green. That whole weekend. Goose, like Colorado is a very special place in Goose's heart. That's where Rick came up with like figured out the name Goose when he was working in Fort Collins. And they used to play it a ton, and now we're only getting 2 Goose shows a year in Colorado. And they're making them very, very special. So night one, you have the drive, you get the old outro that hadn't been played in years. You have the Susie Q, which was on the set list in Vegas that they didn't play. So you have the debut of that cover. You have the Indian River with the Sanskrit outro, which hadn't been played in a while. And then Animal is having a year. Like it got boring for a while, and this year they just came back and are crushing it. So you have a good set one. And then set 2 comes out with a tumble. Then Factory Fiction out of nowhere, like usually closing a set. Now they're finally like putting in places where they could actually jam it. Great segue into State of the Art, the Echo, and then the Cycle of a Rose segment with the Echo back into Factory. Like it was quite possibly my favorite set of Goose that I saw this year. And then, which is actually, there's a few sets that are it's really hard to put them up against each other, but that was solid. And then even the night 2, my mind has been consumed by media, which like they totally reworked that as where it's straight up Talking Heads, and then the debut of Jet Stone, like that was just a really special weekend in Colorado. But that night 1 set 2 is a standout.
You're not going to hear much pushback here. I don't think on that one.
Not at all. Our minds were blown watching that weekend from home. I just had one left, and that was just for me. It was Winter Tour. I mean, specifically Milwaukee, because those were the shows that I was at. But I mean, I really think that was the launch pad for this incredible, crazy year of improv that they've had. I mean, it's really wild to think back. You know, this was just 7 days basically. And when I look at like my Jam of the Year playlist currently, like it's both Madavans, it's both Everything Must Goes, it's the Empress, it's the Dripfield, it's the Big Modern, it's the Time to Flee. Like, I mean, the improv was just insane that week. It's so crazy to have that many good jams from 1 week of touring, but also like the people were just lovely. I met the love of my life, and it was my birthday weekend. So that was easily the best week of Goose that I've experienced to date.
The mind meld on the Slow Ready Pod continues, because that was actually my last one too. Was I called it Dark February, although it doesn't mean it was like a bad thing. It was just like
Dark.
It was like both the combination of all the crazy dark jams we got that week, but also kind of like the uncertainty of like the last minute announcement about Jeff's departure, or like taking time off at the time, and we didn't know how the 4-piece was going to sound, and then that was quickly put to bed after that first Milwaukee show, and it's just an insane 8-show run within like a week and a half ish, and they really captured a lot of lightning in a bottle that week. And like you said, the jams are just insane. They are continued to be some of my favorite ones Goose has played of all time. And anything from those EMGs, like you said, even the Hunger Site in Milwaukee on night 3, that one gets slept on a little bit in my opinion. The animal. Yeah.
The Drive. I mean, it's a lot.
It's just so many quality jams and so many quality shows there. I think that because they were early on in the year, they get really highly revered when it comes to the jams because you listen to them the most, but also like in terms of how outstanding both of those 3-night runs were, especially, they kind of get slept on in the scheme of like the best shows of the year in a way, weirdly enough.
Yeah. My final one was the Milwaukee run. So,
there you go.
Yeah. And like night one was very, very good. There are some people that think that Animal is like the jam of the year. It was very, very good. But night 2 went like really good set 1. But once they got to that Madhavan, that was when it's like, oh, 4-piece Goose is going to be a thing. And then when I was just saying before that Fiddler's night 1 set 2 was my favorite set of the year, but I think February 7th Milwaukee night 2 set 2 was my other favorite set of the year, with the True Love Waits cover, which is one of their so good. Jeff Engborg, the Love Light was ripping in that show. And then on the 8th, that set 2 was when like that was new Goose. That was when like we realized we're getting a new band this year. You had a perfect set 1, and then set 2 they come out and they jam Fish in the Sea for the first time that they've ever jammed that song. They jammed out SOS for the first time, and it's like, oh, they're going to be taking chances and taking risks this year. They open up that show with Into the Mist, and I think Rick has credited Goose Miss and the randomness of the bingo balls for these sets being what they were, and the year that we're having, and like you all said, it just set the tone for everything we got the rest of this year. I think my one qualm of 2025 is that I have seen Big Modern not ended more times than I've seen it ended.
That's fair.
That's a major complaint.
That's a fair one. I'll give you props on that. Normally, I don't give a shit if they finish the songs, but Big Modern is one where it's like, I need that outro in my life.
Yes, and it's cool that
it's vital to the song.
Yeah, it's cool that they've gotten really creative with segues and stuff, but they're doing it out of like Rockdale, where they're not finishing the Rockdale, or they're doing it out of Empress, or these songs that have big finishes, and it's like, which one are you going to finish?
That's fair. Yeah.
I do like when Big Modern pops up again, though, like later in the set or the next night. I do like, as long as they do finish it at some point, like I'm kind of cool with the mystery of it. But I did want to just like call out what Garrett just said. I think night 3 still to this day in the year is my favorite show that Goose has played in 2025, Milwaukee night 3. It doesn't get more perfect than that for me. Like as far as balance between improv and just creativity with the set list. I mean, I listen to it all the time still.
I think that take will age very well too, Mike, because it really is an outstanding show. Like, obviously, there's different. The improv is top notch there. There's different things people look for in a show. Like MSG is gonna be a lot of people's favorite because that's just like a amazing moment, and it's like hard to quantify that. But
Yeah.
in terms of this set listing and improv for a standard show, it's hard to beat Milwaukee Night 3.
I think a lot of people are going to have EMG in their as their jam of the year this year.
Yeah, very unique.
It's in my top 5.
So, anyone have any honorable mentions? I had a few left that are just like silly, quick ones, but
Hit us with them.
I just said it being the summer of Green River and getting jammed out Green Rivers was one.
Yeah.
A couple of Rick guest spots with LPGOB, epic. Every video I saw that seemed like the greatest night of everyone's life.
It was insane.
You mentioned Indian River with the Sanskrit, Garrett, earlier. That's just, I've been wanting that for so long. And then a couple of Blississippi half steps in Grand Rapids and St. Louis. Just really cool to hear them go Blissy with that when you wouldn't expect it. And last but not least, a Western Sun in Wilmington going full Mario Kart, because we have to make a Mario Kart reference on every podcast.
I think that's up there for the fastest Goose Jam ever played too, the Wilmington Western Sun. I still adore that jam because they have never hit the gas that hard right away.
I just listened to that on the plane back yesterday and I was like, this is nuts. Like,
how much cocaine did you guys do? Like, I mean, it's just like insane.
Yeah, I don't know where we go from that.
I got some honorable mentions.
All right, let's hear.
Let's hear them.
The Ben Thatch just like coming out and melting everyone's face off, going Dark Goose right there, and also the Ben Autumn Crossing. I have a friend Sean Shawnee who's been chasing Elmeg for years and years and years, and like I knew from soundcheck it was coming, but like and like I texted our friends who were with him like this is happening, and no one told him, and then like. When it happened, really, really special there. None of us mentioned Luna. That was super, super cool.
I didn't want to brag because it was so cool.
Like just an hour-ish of Goose straight up improv. I'm just here for the zip line with horns. Stuart Bogey crushing there. Night 1 of Fiddlers, the Into the Mist ending. I think Kevin or from another pod was like asking Rick about the Into the Mist ending at Fiddlers, and they were like joking like, yeah, we'll just do like one long Into the Mist the entire show, like just the ending, and like just keep going. And like for them to not play Mist that night, they played Mist 2 nights earlier in Vegas, and then to just go into it and do that fan service there was really, really cool. And then I have the Cleveland Night 2 No Rain. So before the show, it was torrential downpour, like people in the seats getting flooded. It was disgusting. And then they just came out and ripped like a 15-minute No Rain, which was really, really cool.
I'm mad I didn't say that because I was in the pit for that, and I was also in the rain before, so. That was like an immediate I had tears in my eyes. So I was like, no, they're not opening with No Rain. Like, of course they're opening with it. That was so cool.
Yeah.
The more we talk, the more ones I remember. So obviously there's gonna be tons we forget still. But like even Amongster in Cleveland too, like finally getting a full band treatment.
Yes,
just epic.
Yeah, and then I think like one last one, like for me is. They crushed their festival sets this year. Like they didn't go in like, yes, Gorge, we talked about, they did like a festy set for DMB fans that was with a purpose. But you look at what they did at Mountain Jam and you looked at what they did at All Good, and they played straight up Goose shows. That All Good show was incredible from start to finish. The Mountain Jam had incredible jamming from start to finish. Like they played festival sets like they were the headliners and deserved to be there. That was a really nice surprise this year.
Yeah, and to that point, sometimes just seeing other bands in the scene and like, you know, even like with DMB, you see it sometimes just to bring that full circle. It's like those festival sets when you're a headliner, you don't know if they're gonna like really try to cater to like the audience there in different ways, and they just were like, nah, fuck it, we're just gonna do our thing and like rip off like a Factory Fiction at a festival in Merriweather for no good reason other than we want to play it, and that's just the sickest thing ever.
Yeah, it just speaks to the quality of their touring this year that you could cherry pick any show from anything that they headline this year, festival or not, and whatever you think the worst one is going to stack up really favorably with any other tours that they've done. So, I mean, they've just been hitting the mark and getting A+ across the board.
Yeah, well said.
Well, anything else to get to, fellas?
No.
Let's get some sleep. Us three have not been getting enough sleep lately.
No, we have not. Well, with that, thank everyone out there for listening and hanging with us and going over this Gorge weekend. And we've got a lot of great episodes planned for you, so be sure to follow us on socials at Slow Ready Pod. I'm clearly delirious at this point. And thank you so much, Garrett, for coming on and talking with us.
Thanks for having me.
Take care, everybody.